The Utah Jazz are currently sitting at the top of the Western Conference with a record of 9-3, which is a far cry from the preseason projections that had them solidly at the bottom of the league in terms of wins. They're winning at a ridiculous 61 win pace. The Jazz, that everybody expected to be at the front of the pack in the race for Victor Wembanyama, are on pace for 60 plus wins by the end of the season. And it's not like they've played a bunch of bum teams either. Their 9 wins include wins against the Nuggets, Timberwolves, Pelicans, Grizzlies, and the Clippers. The assumption in the NBA today is that you need to have a top 10 player or 2 stars in order to be a competitive team. But the Jazz are pioneering a revolutionary concept. What if you build a roster of good players? Now, obviously, that's a bit of an oversimplification, but there's some level of truth to it. Lauri Markkanen has clearly been the standout of this roster, but top to bottom, they've really got a 9 to 10 man rotation that's contributing at a high level. Lauri Markkanen, Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley, Kelly Olynyk, Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley, Collin Sexton, Talen Horton-Tucker, Rudy Gay, and Walker Kessler. Definitely not the most star-studded roster in the world, but top to bottom, those are all at the very least decent NBA players, albeit some of them flawed and limited. But it's how rookie coach 𝙖𝙗𝙗𝙪 has crafted a system around these guys that's really helped negate their weaknesses and maximize their strengths. This Jazz team is currently one of the best volume three-point shooting teams in the NBA, sitting at 37% on 40.1 attempts per game, the 4th highest volume in the NBA. That efficiency is about 1.5 percentage points above the league average efficiency from beyond the arc. 𝙖𝙗𝙗𝙪 has implemented a system that prioritizes generating open threes. Obviously, they're going to have some possessions like this one where Jordan Clarkson pulls a deep 3 early in the shot clock, but there's plenty of movement and scheme at play in Utah's ability to generate good looks. The Jazz are going to set up 5 out on this play, and Olynyk is going to set this pin down screen for Clarkson for him to curl towards the basket off of it. This forces the tag from Troy Brown Jr., leaving Beasley open in the corner for Clarkson to kick it out to him for the catch and shoot 3. This inbound play is going to be executed to perfection. Markkanen is going to come up from the paint towards Conley and Olynyk as if he's receiving staggered screens to fade to the perimeter, but Conley and Olynyk are going to slip their screens with Olynyk moving to the paint towards Troy Brown while Conley steps back towards the arc. Conley gets the pass off the inbound for the wide open 3. Here they set up for this screen for Beasley with Olynyk, but Olynyk switches the screen for Conley. The funny thing is, when Conley's defender tries to fight under the screen, Beasley is going to come up and set another screen for him, which leaves Conley wide open to pull the shot. They bring the ball up the floor and run this handoff in the corner, with Sexton setting a soft screen for Markkanen to get it up top before sending it to Sexton. Now they're set up with 3 on the strong side. Markkanen comes to set a screen for Sexton to drive up the middle. Hardaway doesn't stay home on Conley, and when he comes over to tag the drive, Sexton sends it to Conley for the open look. They set up for this horns action up top, with Clarkson dribbling to the top of the key. The Blazers miscommunicate on the rotation, with Dame and Grant both moving to cover Clarkson. Meanwhile, Markkanen sets a screen for Olynyk to flare to the wing, getting the pass to knock down the shot. Here, Beasley has the ball on the wing, and Clarkson comes up as if he's going to set a down screen for him to drive before fading to the top of the key to get the ball. You can see the defense lapse a little bit, ignoring Beasley shifting towards the left side corner, with Olynyk setting the screen so Clarkson can get it to Beasley for the catch and shoot shot. Their off-screen shooting ability is fantastic, and they're recording 1.2 points per possession on possessions off of screens, making them the most efficient scoring team off of screens of any team in the league, attempting 6 or more possessions off of screens per game so far. This three-point shooting talent and scheme that's able to generate good looks so consistently opens up a ton of space for them to go to work on the interior, especially in this system that prioritizes off-ball movement. Remember that curl action from earlier that resulted in a Malik Beasley 3 in the corner? Well, they're going to run the same thing again here, but instead of swinging it to the perimeter, Clarkson has space against the drop coverage to just put up the floater. Markkanen gives it to Conley, with Brandon Clark having to try and contain him as he tries to break him down off the dribble. Conley gets the good angle, forcing Tyus Jones to provide help. Markkanen previously shifted towards the dunker spot, and with both paint defenders now on Conley, he just dumps it off to Markkanen for the bucket. They run this screen on the left side wing for Clarkson to get the ball, and he rejects the screen from Rudy Gay to attack the baseline. This forces the help defense to come over, allowing Clarkson to dump it off to Walker Kessler to finish at the rim. But if we rewind a little bit, the setup for this play works in the first place because Talen Horton-Tucker relocated over to the corner, drawing Troy Brown Jr. to protect the kickout, leaving a 2-on-1 against the interior defender between Clarkson and Kessler once Clarkson beats his man on the drive. Sexton starts to drive here, but instead he gets the screen from 𝙖𝙗𝙤𝙪. While Sexton and Markkanen pass it up top, you can see that Clarkson is going to cut to the paint before curling, bringing Dillon Brooks with him towards the perimeter. This eliminates any paint defense, and with 𝙖𝙗𝙤𝙪 having sealed Tyus Jones, Sexton just lobs it up to him for the easy layup. Clarkson and Vando are going to get into this pick and roll, and Clarkson gets it to him near the nail on the short roll. While Vando drives against Jokic, 𝙖𝙗𝙤𝙪 is going to make a cut towards the paint, allowing Vando to dump it off to him, and 𝙖𝙗𝙪 works his way to the rim for the finish. They're executing an offense that's predicated on lots of off-ball movement and getting into open space to allow for the guys with the ball to have an option to pass it to if they get trapped or face tight coverage, and it's working really well and exploiting opposing defenses. They currently have the third best offensive rating in the league at 115.7 points per 100 possessions, and while their offense has been great, they're also top 10 in defense with a defensive rating of 109.3 points per 100 possessions, giving them a 6.5 net rating. Teams are currently only scoring 0.92 points per possession in the half court against Utah's defense, which is the second best defense behind only the Milwaukee Bucks in the half court. Having Kelly Olynyk and Lauri Markkanen on the floor together has benefits due to both of them being relatively versatile defenders. When you throw Walker Kessler into the mix, they can essentially run a 3-big lineup with lots of switching, like here when Markkanen switches onto Edwards. He has to guard the drive, but even when Edwards gets by him, Walker Kessler is in the paint waiting to provide help, ultimately getting the block. Their defensive communication is fantastic. When Sexton gets beat by Hyland's cut, Sexton is going to signal to Kessler to stay home in the paint. Then on the drive, they kick it out to the corner, but Talen Horton-Tucker is there to contest the shot and force the miss. Here on the pick and roll, 𝙖𝙗𝙪𝙪 stays in drop coverage, and the Grizzlies try to run this flare in the corner, but Beasley fights over the screen, forcing Brooks to try and take him off the dribble, and he ultimately has to put up a difficult runner as the shot clock goes down. Nance and Trey Murphy are going to try and run this dribble handoff into a pick and roll up top, but Kessler deters Murphy's drive, with Murphy dumping it to Nance. Kessler slides over and stops any potential shot, with Nance sending it back up top. Murphy will try to drive again, but Kessler is once again waiting in the paint to alter the shot. The Timberwolves try to run this pin down action, but the Jazz are going to switch on it, with Conley now guarding on ball and Beasley switching on to McLaughlin. Gobert comes up to set a pick, but Vando switches onto Noel. He makes the skip pass to the corner, but even though Conley gets beat off the dribble, Rudy Gay is there waiting in the paint to force the miss. They're not hindered by defenders with limited capabilities. Their wing defense has the ability to seamlessly switch back and forth between guarding the perimeter and helping provide interior defense whenever it's necessary. The Jazz are allowing the 5th fewest three-point attempts of any team in the NBA so far, and opponents are only shooting 32.6 from 3 against them, and that's the lowest mark in the entire league. All of this success and seemingly foolproof game plan begs a question. Is this sustainable, or more importantly, do the Jazz even want to sustain this? They don't have the star power that's widely believed to be a prerequisite for having success in a postseason setting, but as it currently stands, they're a pretty well-constructed team. As the season progresses, it's going to be interesting to see if this success continues, or if they slowly start to come back down to earth, but for now, any hopes of landing a top 3 pick in the draft aren't looking very good. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe and leave a like. That's the #1 way to support me and help me continue making content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.